What is up, IDP Army? Welcome in. Got a great show for you today. The IDP Army YouTube channel. We're going to be talking about the top 5 Dynasty risers over the last month in Dynasty Fantasy Football. Going to be a great show. I'm excited to go over these players with y'all. So we're going to talk about our top 5 Dynasty risers. Well, not ours, but the markets. All right, went, did some research on the top 5 movers at the wide receiver and running back position in Dynasty Fantasy Football over the last 30 days. And we had 5 players that really have moved a lot in the market in the last 30 days. Before we jump into that, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up. And if you're interested in what our rankings look like versus the entire consensus of the Dynasty market, you can join our Patreon or become a member of the channel, or just reach out to us on Twitter, here on YouTube, join our community, and we will get you set up. We're going to start with Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs has moved a lot over the last month. A month ago, Josh Jacobs was sitting at Dynasty consensus running back 15. Currently, he is Dynasty consensus running back 7. For me, I have him ranked as running back 6. He's really blown up this year a lot. Positionally, he's raised over how many spots? He's risen 8 spots positionally over the last month, and across all positions, he's risen 16 spots. Now, this is coming from Keep Trade Cut, which is an aggregated crowdsourced Dynasty fantasy platform where they use rankings that are congregated or crowdsourced from everybody. So this is a good idea to understand what the Dynasty market looks like. So again, the Dynasty market is adjusting. Josh Jacobs up 8 spots from a month ago in the running back. He is up 16 spots overall. These are in Superflex because that is my preferred Dynasty method and most people's. He's done that on the back of 269 attempts, 1,402 yards. He's caught 44 receptions this year. The thing is, so many people tried to knock him for coming into the season for 346 yards, and he has 11 touchdowns on the ground, none through the air. So he has moved significantly over the last 30 days from running back 15 to running back 7. And for me, he's a trade away. If you wanted to acquire Josh Jacobs in Dynasty, the time to do that was every moment leading up to the moment you're watching this video. At this point, he is peaking as far as his overall Dynasty value. 24 years old. Because of the nebulousness of his situation without getting that 5th-year option exercised by the Raiders, I don't know what his season's going to look like next year. Neither do you. I think this is the top as far as his value. That being said, if you really want Josh Jacobs at 24 years old, the time horizon for him to be a top-level Dynasty asset is quite a bit still compared to other players. But my personal take, you should have already got him last year, the year before. Right now, he's a trade away or a hold. Number 2 biggest riser in Dynasty over the last 30 days across all the markets, the running backs and wide receivers in Superflex, Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard has gone from running back 19 30 days ago to the running back 14. Not a massive move for Tony Pollard, but it is 5 spots in the running back position, and that's 14 spots overall in Superflex. Tony Pollard is 25 years old, a little older than I love, but again, it's only 1 year older than Josh Jacobs, and he's been fairly prolific this season. 148 attempts for 852 yards, 25 receptions for 259 yards, and the Cowboys are rolling. They're rolling with both of these backs looking very good. Very reminiscent of Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams last season. And we can see, obviously, on the field, the more explosive, the more talented player is Tony Pollard. And his Dynasty stock has increased because of that. Again, in the last 30 days, his market value has risen from running back 19 to 14. For me, he's a trade 4 player or a hold. I think he could end up peaking into that top 12 as far as Dynasty value. So still here at running back 14, I think there's a little value to be squeezed out of him. And I think you're looking at a guy who could take over this backfield as the primary guy, the way that the Broncos chose to give the backfield over to Javonte Williams this last year. That's not shade at Zeke. This is just a scenario that looks like it's potentially going to happen. So get in on Tony Pollard now if you can. Third and final running back for the Dynasty risers for today, Rachaad White. Rachaad White has gone up a lot a lot. Explosive here towards the last few weeks. Tom Brady's been using him a lot. Leonard Fournette being injured is a reason for that mostly. But he's up 7 spots at running back, from running back 25 to running back 18, and up 45 total spots across all positions according to Keep Trade Cut. 23 years old, only 83 attempts this year, and the yards aren't great, 314. 42 targets, though. You'll love to see that. 35 receptions, 221 yards. Again, not overly prolific, but here's where it gets really interesting. In weeks 12 and weeks 13, he hauled in 6 receptions and 9 receptions, and he had a game-winning touchdown. So Tom Brady trusts him in high-leverage situations. He's proven himself capable in those situations. 23 years old, he is moving up the board. Leonard Fournette is on the way out of, Tampa Bay, probably, maybe even the league. Rachaad White is the next man up, and he's slowly sort of moving and asserting himself that way. The dynasty market, it's adjusting. Like I said, he is up 45 spots over all the positions in Superflex, according to Keep Trade Cut, over the last 30 days. That's the biggest mover on this list. So that should give you an idea of how much he's moved. Before we go on to the wide receivers that we're going to talk about quickly, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you thumbs up this video. And if you want to check out our dynasty rankings, like I said, join the channel membership, join the Patreon. We will hook you up. Final 2 players we're going to talk about that have moved up the most in the last 30 days in dynasty rankings or via the market. These aren't my rankings either. Remember, these are from Keep Trade Cut. This is market value. We're looking to see how our competitors, our peers are viewing the market. CeeDee Lamb has gone from wide receiver 9 to wide receiver 5. Okay, that's up 4 wide receiver spots the last 30 days. That's up 11 overall. A lot of this is predicated on the fact that we know that Dak Prescott was missing. So, coming into the season, CeeDee Lamb was a very popular top 5 dynasty wide receiver, ranked that way, pretty much consensus. It's wild that he moved down 4 or 5 spots just because Dak wasn't there. But now that Dak is back, the market is instantly correcting on CeeDee Lamb. Currently, the wide receiver 5, for me, he's a hold. I'm not going out to buy right now or to trade for CeeDee Lamb just because he's riding a high right now. I don't want to buy high. I want to buy low. I would have been looking to buy him maybe 30 days ago when he was in that bottom end of wide receiver 1 conversation. Now that he's up in that upper half, by market value, according to Keep Trade Cut, he's a hold. If you have him, be happy you have him. Maybe you want to trade him away, but I think that's risky business. I like CeeDee Lamb. The market likes CeeDee Lamb. If you have him, be thankful. Final player as far as the top 5 dynasty risers over the last 30 days is Amon-Ra St. Brown. Similar situation to CeeDee Lamb where he dipped a little bit, but he's back up. Was wide receiver 11 30 days ago, is up 5 wide receiver spots, is up 14 total spots. And he did dip as low as wide receiver 13 all the way back on November 11th, according to Keep Trade Cut. Wild to think that we were viewing Amon-Ra St. Brown as little as a month and a half ago as a wide receiver 2. 23 years old right now and just turned 23 too. Not an old 23, a young 23. And he's having a hell of a season. He's had 100 targets already, 76 receptions, 830 yards, and he's had 6 receiving touchdowns this season. He had 5 receiving touchdowns all of last year when he was getting hot, when we were all getting onto him. 6 this year. Has missed a little bit of time with some injury, but he's been having a phenomenal season, 75 yards a game. At wide receiver 6, he's a hold, but if people in your league aren't valuing Amon-Ra St. Brown as a top 5, top 6 dynasty wide receiver, you need to take advantage of that because that won't last long. The market will correct. People are noticing things in Detroit are different than they thought. So those are the top 5 dynasty risers according to the market, according to Keep Trade Cut. Over the last 30 days, we have Josh Jacobs, who has risen up 8 running back spots. We have Tony Pollard, who has risen up 5 running back spots. Rachaad White, who has risen 7 running back spots. CeeDee Lamb, 4 wide receiver spots. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown has risen 5. What are we going to take from this information? In Dynasty, you have to understand that the season is, and when I mean the season, it never ends in Dynasty. And the conversation and the narratives around players and little tiny things, 1-2 games, somebody missing time, whatever it may be, can drastically affect the cost of acquisition of a good player. Like I said, Amon-Ra St. Brown, according to Keep Trade Cut, was a wide receiver 2 a month ago. We know that's not true. Then somebody felt that it was. So remember to keep an eye on the market. these are the top 5 movers up. I will be back later this next month, probably Monday or Tuesday. We will talk about the Dynasty movers whose stock is going down, how we are attacking those players in Dynasty going forward. And eventually, we will break out our Dynasty rankings. We'll talk about our biggest movers. But right now, we want to keep an eye on the Dynasty market as a whole for Dynasty Fantasy Football, so we can make the right trades, so we can value our players appropriately, so we can see value discrepancy. So, like I said, thank you for tuning in, watching this video. We appreciate you, IDP Army, Fantasy Football Fanatics. Tell a friend about us. Share the show. If you're listening to the podcast, we appreciate you. And I will be back soon with another episode for you all. We'll be doing the live stream every Sunday through the rest of the season. You all already know that. We'll be doing the waiver wire show. You already know that. But we will be shifting into Dynasty. We will be tinkering with our teams. We will be constructing more powerhouses as we rock and roll into 2023. So appreciate you all for sticking around with the IDP Army. Dynasty, Best Ball, IDP. We do it all. The second sons of fantasy football, as we like to say. And be sure to check out the podcast. We have the IDP Army Podcast. We have the Dynasty Tailgate. We have the, we have the Best Ball Fantasy Sports Show, also called The Underdogs. And we have Offensive Points. So check those out if you are watching on the channel. Until next time, IDP Army, we'll be back soon with more Dynasty information for you, more IDP information for you. All right, later.